If only Lu Ming had married me instead. Hearing the sigh echoing in my mind, my hand holding the ring froze midair, unable to believe my ears. I have the ability to read minds upon physical contact, though it was just a faint whisper. I recognized it immediately. It was the voice of my newlywed wife, Lu Ruyan. I turned my head sharply to the side. Lu Ruyan, dressed in a pristine white wedding gown, was greeting guests below the stage, appearing exceptionally cheerful without a hint of anything unusual. But as I looked at her smiling face, my heart suddenly skipped a beat, and I clenched my fist tightly. All because of that name, Lu Ming. He is the second young master of the Lu family and also Lu Ruyan's ex. 5 years ago, when Lu Ruyan was still in school, she got together with Lu Ming. The two were a perfect match, talented and attractive, turning heads wherever they went. At that time, almost everyone assumed Lu Ruyan would marry into wealth and tie the knot with Lu Ming. For this reason, Lu Ruyan even neglected her studies for a while, accompanying Lu Ming to various high-end venues. But just half a year later, Lu Ming and the entire Lu family seemed to vanish into thin air, suddenly disappearing without a trace. Could it be? Does Lu Ruyan still think of that man? Just as I was lost in thought, Lu Ruyan seemed to notice my unusual behavior and immediately let go of my hand, asking with a worried expression, "Linimo, what's wrong with you? You're about to go on stage, and your tie isn't even straightened." With that, Lu Ruyan leaned in, carefully adjusting my collar for me. As I gazed at Lu Ruyan's gentle profile, my clenched fist gradually relaxed. I couldn't help but shake my head, attributing it to the stress of recent overtime work causing momentary auditory hallucinations, and didn't dwell on it. I then invited Lu Ruyan to join me on stage. "I'm fine. Ruyan, the auspicious time is almost here. Let's go." Soon, the MC skillfully took over and began presiding over the wedding proceedings. "Next, let's invite the bride and groom to exchange rings and pledge their lifelong commitment to each other." Amidst the applause of the crowd, I naturally knelt on one knee before Lu Ruyan, holding the diamond ring in my hand with a gentle smile. "Ruyan, from this day forward, I will be your husband." Yet, for some reason, Lu Ruyan seemed somewhat distracted. Even though she was already on the stage, she remained fixated on her phone, as if afraid of missing some message, to the point where she didn't even notice that I had already knelt down on one knee. "Ruyan, Ruyan." It wasn't until I called Lu Ruyan several times that she suddenly snapped back to reality, responding with a dazed acknowledgement. "Ruyan, are you too nervous?" Yet she only managed to force a faint smile at me. Shaking her head, I had no choice but to let it be, offering her an encouraging look. Just as I was about to put the ring on Lu Ruyan's finger, her phone suddenly vibrated. Lu Ruyan merely glanced at it, but her body trembled abruptly, and she sharply raised her head to look toward the entrance. Following her gaze, I saw that Lu Ming had somehow appeared at the foot of the stage, dressed in a sharp suit, staring intently at Lu Ruyan. "Ruyan, I'm back." As soon as these words were spoken, the entire room fell silent, and all eyes turned to me and Lu Ming. There were doubts, astonishment, and even schadenfreude. But I knew Lu Ruyan would never betray me. Ever since Lu Ruyan and Lu Ming broke up, her life had been hit by one setback after another. Having neglected her studies for quite some time, she was not only expelled from school, even her own parents, ashamed of her, kicked her out of the house. When I met Lu Ruyan, she was huddled in a fast food restaurant, devouring the scraps left by others. Unable to bear the sight, I helped her find a job, and her life gradually began to improve. Since then, Lu Ruyan and I have been in touch more and more frequently, and eventually got together. Over the past few years, we started from setting up a stall, step by step building our own business, And now we even have a small company, living a fulfilling and prosperous life. Even so, when I proposed to Lu Ruyan last month, she didn't ask for a single cent in bride price, insisting on keeping everything simple and just having a casual banquet. All these years, she has seen and appreciated everything I've done for her. How could she possibly abandon me and be snatched away by that heartless Lu Ming, who disappeared for 5 years? Feeling the gazes from the audience below, I couldn't help but smile in relief, intertwining my fingers with Lu Ruyan's, as if responding to me. Lu Ruyan turned her head and gave me a gentle smile, squeezing my hand even tighter, her eyes filled with tender affection. Yet the next moment, her inner thoughts slithered like a venomous snake, gnawing at my skin, flesh, and bones, dragging me into the abyss of despair. 5 years. I've waited for you for 5 years. Why did you only come now? Listening to Lu Ruyan's inner voice, I stood frozen in place, unable to snap out of it for a long time. Beside me, although Lu Ruyan tried hard to appear indifferent toward Lu Ming, I could still detect a flicker of emotion in her evasive gaze. Her eyes looked exactly like they did 5 years ago, when I first met her. Sensitive, fragile, and paranoid. Ever since I got together with Lu Ruyan, I've never seen her so agitated over anyone. Even a year ago, when I worked overtime for weeks on end, suddenly had an unstoppable nosebleed, fainted at the office, and was rushed to the hospital. She made kanji for me, handled my work affairs, and even covered my medical expenses. She was like the perfect wife. Yet Lu Ruyan remained utterly composed from start to finish, not shedding a single tear for me. It was as if there had always been an invisible barrier between us, making everything feel strangely distant. At the time, I thought perhaps Lu Ruyan had experienced too much in life, making her far more mature than most. So I didn't dwell on it too much. But now, just one glance at Lu Ming sent Lu Ruyan's heart into turmoil, to the point where she could barely suppress her emotions. I froze in place, watching the two of them exchange such deep gazes, feeling an indescribable ache in my heart. After a long moment, Lu Ruyan seemed to realize her own impropriety and immediately tightened her grip on my hand, casting a cold look at Lu Ming. "What are you doing here?" Lu Ruyan's tone was icy, and the way she looked at Lu Ming was as if he were a complete stranger. Yet even so, I could distinctly feel the strength in her palm tighten slightly, seeing Lu Ruyan's unmoved expression. Lu Ming froze for a moment before, to everyone's shock, rushing onto the stage. "Ruyan, please don't be like this, okay? It was my fault back then. But that really wasn't my intention. My family forced me into it." Hearing this, Lu Ruyan said nothing, but couldn't help biting her lip tighter and clenching her hands even more firmly. Seeing that Lu Ruyan still refused to speak, Lu Ming gritted his teeth and directly pulled out a contract from his pocket, handing it to her. "Ruyan, listen to me. I really didn't lie to you. Back then, I wasn't independent and couldn't make my own decisions. But now everything is different. I have my own company, and if you're willing, I can transfer all the company's shares to you at any time." With that, Lu Ming, his eyes reddened, walked affectionately toward Lu Ruyan and reached out his hand. "Ruyan, do you still remember our promise from before? Haven't you always wanted to open a clothing store and design your own wedding dress? Next month. No tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'll take over that clothing store by the school gate. Okay?" Lu Ming spoke with sincerity, looking every bit like a prodigal son returning. But as I listened to Lu Ming's promises, I shook my head dismissively and stepped in front of Lu Ruyan. "Ruyan, don't believe his nonsense. He's nothing but a liar." I stared straight at Lu Ming, my gaze icy cold. I knew he had no assets whatsoever and was certainly not the second young master of the Lu family. From beginning to end, he was nothing but a liar. The year Lu Ruyan graduated, I accompanied a colleague on an interview, happened to meet a supplier from the Liu family back then. That's when I learned Lu Ming's long-held secret. He was just the illegitimate child left behind by the Liu family patriarch's philandering, whether in ability or character. He falls far short of being the true heir of the Liu family. Upon learning that Lu Ming was stirring up trouble under the Liu family's name, the family directly expelled him from the household and shifted all their business focus overseas, never to return. As for the so-called company shares Lu Ming claims, they're likely just the mess he left behind years ago. No, coming back under the pretense of reclaiming true love through a forced marriage. His real intention is probably just to drain the savings that Lu Ruyan and I have painstakingly accumulated over the years. I originally intended to tell Lu Ruyan about this matter, but the moment I mentioned his name, she seemed to be triggered, uncontrollably smashing things around the house. Moyu, I've told you, I don't want to hear about him anymore. I don't want to know a single word about him. Afterwards, when Lu Ruyan apologized to me with reddened eyes, I didn't dwell on it anymore. I simply buried the matter deep in my heart and never brought up Lu Ming's name again. Thinking of this, I gradually regained my composure. Today is the day Lu Ruyan and I get married. How could she possibly give up on me, who had stood by her through thick and thin for 5 years, and reconcile with that fraud Lu Ming, who only knew how to put on an act? But just as I was about to enjoy Lu Ming's humiliation, someone in the audience suddenly shouted, "Run! The decorative lights on the ceiling are about to fall." Following the sound, I saw several colored light tubes rapidly falling towards the direction of me and Lu Ming. Ruyan. I barely had time to react before rushing forward to shield Lu Ruyan, fearing she might be injured by the falling tubes. But what happened next struck me like a bolt of lightning. I remained motionless, numb even as fragments of the tubes pierced my right arm, unable to snap out of it for a long time. Lu Ming, watch out. Lu Ruyan, moving faster than me in her high heels, rushed straight toward Lu Ming and pushed him out of the path of the falling light tube. Bang. As the light tube crashed down, Lu Ruyan fell into Lu Ming's arms, both unharmed, gazing into each other's eyes. Meanwhile, I was struck by the falling debris, which cut my right arm, instantly staining my suit with blood, until someone in the audience called out my name. Lu Ruyan finally snapped out of it, hurriedly breaking free from Lu Ming's embrace and running toward me. Moyu, are you okay? But I just frowned deeply at Lu Ruyan, saying nothing. I really didn't know there were so many light tubes. I just don't want anyone to get hurt at the wedding. It's not what you think. Lu Ruyan's tone was urgent, as if she was afraid I might misunderstand. But ever since Lu Ming appeared, Lu Ruyan's gaze never left him. Lu Ruyan's explanation now seemed increasingly feeble and unconvincing. Seeing my continued silence, Lu Ruyan suddenly trembled, then tightly bit her lower lip and spoke. Moyo, you're injured. Let's go to the hospital first. Today's wedding. Let's cancel it for now. Her voice quivered, and her eyes grew increasingly red, as if she deeply cared about my safety. But I just looked coldly at Lu Ruyan and shook off her hand. You still have Lu Ming in your heart, don't you? At the mention of Lu Ming's name, Lu Ruyan's body trembled violently, and her face turned even paler. Seeing Lu Ruyan at a loss for words, Lu Ming, acting like a knight in shining armor, rushed between me and Lu Ruyan, angrily saying, "Our love is the real deal. I'm from the Liu family. I have my own company. And you? What can you offer her for the future?" Hearing Lu Ming's words, Lu Ruyan's body trembled violently, her face growing increasingly pale. Stop it. Lu Ming, there's no possibility between us anymore. You're too late. MOU and I have already gotten our marriage certificate. With that, Lu Ming's eyes widened instantly, looking at me in disbelief. But the next moment, Lu Ming suddenly seemed to remember something. He immediately opened his phone and publicly displayed his chat history with Lu Ruyan. Nonsense. Ruyan, if you didn't love me, how could you have lent me money time and again? Then, but before Lu Ming could finish, Lu Ruyan's expression suddenly changed. Without even caring about my injuries, she rushed forward, snatched Lu Ming's phone, and smashed it to the ground. But as I stared at the content on my phone screen, I felt as if struck by lightning, unable to believe my eyes for a long time. Lu Ming's phone contained his chat history with Lu Ruyan from a month ago. As I looked at the rows of transfer records, my heart suddenly skipped a beat, and I turned to Lu Ruyan in disbelief. Full 3 months. Without my knowledge, Lu Ruyan had actually added Lu Ming's contact information 3 months ago. Even without any evidence, she directly transferred 800,000 yuan to Lu Ming for stock trading. As I looked at the string of numbers, my heart instantly sank. Over the years, Lu Ruyan and I haven't managed to save much money. This money is the insurance payout from the critical illness cancer insurance I purchased last year. But I didn't use it all for cancer treatment. Instead, I took out a portion to help Lu Ruyan start her business and protect her fragile, sensitive heart, to keep her from worrying. I lied and told her it was a lottery win, a gift from heaven for our love. After that, the money was always entrusted to her for safekeeping. I've always believed that Lu Ruyan would not betray me, let alone embezzle this crucial life-saving money of mine. But now, the life-saving cancer insurance money I had was entirely transferred by Lu Ruyan to Lu Ming. The reason was simply to make Lu Ming money from stock trading and revive a company that didn't even exist in his words. Suppressing the grief in my heart, I turned to look at Lu Ruyan. Ruyan, is what he said true? But Lu Ruyan only bit her lip. Her head bowed, her expression unreadable. After a long while, Lu Ruyan finally spoke in a hoarse voice, whispering, Moyu, I really did transfer the money to him. But Lu Ming has connections. He can earn it back quickly and pay you back. With that, the entire wedding venue fell into a dead silence, and countless eyes from the audience turned toward me. For a long moment, I gazed at Lu Ruyan's evasive eyes, took a deep breath, and said calmly, Ruyan, let's cancel today's wedding. Upon hearing my words, Lu Ruyan's body trembled violently as she hurriedly explained, Moyu, there's really nothing between me and Lu Ming. Don't worry. I know you're good to me, and I won't let you down. My mind is in turmoil right now, but don't worry, I know Lu Ming better than anyone. And he would never lie to me. Upon hearing Lu Ruyan's explanation, I could no longer contain the grievance in my heart and angrily said, Him? What kind of connections does he have? He's just an unwanted bastard. A complete fraud. Lu Ruyan, do you have any idea? That's my insurance money. My life-saving fund. Hearing this, Lu Ruyan was stunned for a moment. Then, as if overcome with shame and anger, she slapped me right in front of everyone. Enough. Moyu, can you stop being so unreasonable? Don't I know your body well enough? Are you telling such lies to make everyone laugh at us? Or do you think this money is more important than our wedding? I could feel the burning pain on my face, yet my heart grew colder inside. Over the years, I've almost risked my life for Lu Ruyan, dedicating all my time to earning money just to give her a sense of security. Even as the cancer grew worse, I gritted my teeth and stayed silent, not wanting to worry her. When Lu Ming had only been back for 3 short months, just exchanging a few pleasantries with her, she directly transferred my insurance money to him, even though Lu Ming had abandoned her, betrayed her, and deceived her. She would rather believe the lie that Lu Ming needed to trade stocks to save the company than accept the truth that I actually had cancer and needed the money for treatment. It seems that in her heart, I was merely a tool to alleviate her loneliness. Once Lu Ming returns, I can be casually cast aside, Even without hearing Lu Ruyan's inner thoughts, I understood what was on her mind at that moment. Lu Ruyan, she doesn't love me. At this thought, I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh and shake my head. As I met the gazes of the crowd below, I felt more and more like a clown. I devoted my energy, my money, and even my life. I thought I could mend a heart full of scars. But in the end, I lost everything. From beginning to end. It was just me being sentimental all by myself. It's not that she couldn't cry or feel excited. She just wasn't willing to bear her true feelings to me. For a moment, even with countless camera flashes shining on my face, I felt no trace of sorrow or resentment. The heart dies like a lamp extinguished. Even now, Lu Rian is still anxiously defending Lu Ming. But I'm quite curious, what expression will she have when she learns the truth? Just as I was about to let go and turn to leave, Lu Rian's phone suddenly rang. Is this the beneficiary? Miss Lu, we're calling to confirm the usage of Mr. Most cancer insurance payout. Due to the earlier argument, the entire wedding venue was now unusually quiet, even without putting the call on speakerphone. I immediately recognized the voice on the other end. It was the insurance agent I've been dealing with. But upon hearing the voice on the phone, Lu Ruyan first froze in surprise, then furrowed her brows and asked, "What insurance payout? How come I didn't know about this?" On the other end of the line, the insurance agent had no choice but to fully explain the details of the cancer insurance policy I had purchased 2 years ago. But as she listened to the explanation, Lu Rian glanced at me, frowned, and said coldly, "Liver cancer. I don't need you to remind me. I know his condition better than anyone else." Before the other party could understand the situation, Lu Rian angrily hung up the phone and glared at me in frustration. "Moyu, I understand that it's the money you won from the lottery, and I shouldn't have moved it without your permission. But we're about to become family soon. Is it really necessary to draw such a clear line? Besides, Lu Ming isn't the type who wouldn't pay you back. Is it really worth hiring someone to act outside, pretending I'm the beneficiary, and using such a despicable scheme to deceive me?" As I watched her furious expression, I was stunned at first, then let out a bitter laugh. I thought everything would be cleared up once the insurance company called. But I still underestimated Lu Ming's place in Lu Rian's heart, even with the truth right in front of her. She refused to believe that the first love in her heart was a complete fraud. If the insurance company discovers the funds were misappropriated by someone else, my policy would be completely voided. Without the insurance payout, I simply couldn't afford the subsequent high costs of surgery and treatment. Meanwhile, Lu Ming, seemingly emboldened by Lu Rian's support, became noticeably more aggressive. He stepped up to me and jabbed forcefully at my liver area. "Liver cancer? Moyu, you're really something to fabricate such a vicious lie. With so many people in the world, how come you're the one who got liver cancer at such a young age? Could it be that you've done too many bad things and this is heaven's punishment?" With that, Lu Ming leaned closer to my ear and whispered provocatively, just loud enough for me to hear, "Moyu, once I'm done playing with that woman, I can still go abroad and live it up. As for you, just wait to die on that sickbed." Hearing this, I could no longer suppress the rage in my heart and mustered all my strength to punch Lu Ming in the face. "You beast." The next moment, Lu Ming fell to the ground, staring at me in disbelief. "You dare to get serious? Ruyan, you saw it all through the first punch. Don't be fooled by his usual gentle and honest demeanor. If you really marry him, who knows if he'll turn violent on you?" But I didn't answer him, just stared coldly at Lu Ruyan. She quickly crouched down to help Lu Ming up, then looked at me with disbelief. "Moyu, what are you doing? If Lu Ming calls the police, you'll be arrested. Hurry up and apologize to him. Let's just drop this matter." But I just glanced at Moyu and said coldly, He's not worthy. He's nothing but a low-life scammer. Yet upon hearing my words, Lu Ruyan bit her lower lip tightly, then stood up and pushed me away. Enough. Moyu. Must you make things so ugly? Can't you think more about me? Hearing this, I was momentarily stunned, then looked down at my chest, clenched my fist, and retorted, "What about you? Have you ever considered me? Since Lu Ming came back, has there really been any place for me in your heart?" It seemed to be the first time I had yelled at her. Lu Ruyan was stunned at first, her expression changing repeatedly. But in the end, she remained silent. Seeing this, I also understood the answer in her heart. After a long silence, I took a deep breath and said calmly, "Lu Ruyan, let's get a divorce." Moyu, what did you say? Upon hearing my words, Lu Ruyan instantly widened her eyes, as if she had heard something unbelievable, and stood frozen in place. After a moment, Lu Ruyan finally snapped out of it and said in disbelief, "Moyu, can you stop being so unreasonable? Using divorce to threaten me will only make me more disappointed in you." I looked at Lu Ruyan's hysterical state and instantly lost all interest in continuing the argument. Between Lu Ruyan and me, there was no room for reconciliation left. From the day she secretly contacted Lu Ming behind my back and transferred money to him, our relationship had already reached its end. For the past 5 years, I had sacrificed almost everything to take care of Lu Ruyan. But from now on, I only want to live for myself. Yet just as I stepped out of the wedding venue, the places where Lu Ming had touched me suddenly began to ache with a piercing pain. Before I could even react, a surge rose in my throat, and I began vomiting blood uncontrollably on the street. Even my nostrils wouldn't stop bleeding. "Señor, are you okay?" I turned towards the voice. It sounded somewhat familiar, but it wasn't Lu Ruyan. Instead, it was my company's legal advisor, Suwon. At that moment, she was helping me up with a face full of concern, her eyes filled with panic, even considering calling an ambulance to take me to the hospital. But I looked at the other person, forced out a smile, and shook my head. "It's nothing. Just spitting up a little blood. It won't kill me." Seeing my face grow increasingly pale, Suwon bit her lower lip tightly and said with concern, "Señor, your face is as pale as a sheet, and you still say you're fine. Where is Miss Lu? Should I go contact her now?" Watching Suwon's flustered state, I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. Even Suwon, an outsider, seemed to care more about my health than Lu Ruyan. No need to contact her anymore. I struggled to sit up straight and sent Suwon a screenshot of my cancer insurance policy from my phone. After just a glance, her face instantly turned pale, and she said in a trembling voice, "Señor, how could you have liver cancer? You're only 30 years old." Hearing this, I could only shake my head with a bitter smile. Logically speaking, someone my age really shouldn't be suffering from such a terminal illness. But for these 5 years, I've been working almost to the point of overexertion every day, just to give Lu Ruyan a better life as soon as possible. Sometimes, just to satisfy clients, I drank until I was completely wasted, nearly vomiting out my guts. Yet even so, Lu Ruyan never once took the initiative to show me any concern. At this thought, I couldn't help but sigh deeply and turned to look at Suwon. "Suwon, could you take me to the company? I left some things there." Hearing this, Suwon just looked at me without saying a word, her face full of concern. Seeing that Suwon was unwilling to help, I was about to leave when she suddenly grabbed my arm and let out a soft sigh. "Forget it. Senior, you're still so fond of showing off. But promise me, after this, you must go to the hospital." I was momentarily taken aback by Suwon's serious expression, then nodded and got into her car. Throughout the journey, I endured the discomfort in my body, swallowing back the rising blood several times, not wanting to scare Sue Wan beside me. Even though it was less than a 10-minute drive, my phone kept ringing incessantly. All the calls were from Lu Ruyan, but I never answered any of them. For her, I had already gone above and beyond. From now on, I don't want to have the slightest connection with her. Thinking of this, I simply closed my eyes, pretending not to see anything. By the time Sue Wan woke me up, I had already rushed back to the company. As soon as I pushed open the door, my gaze swept past Lu Ruyan's office but involuntarily landed on the lucky sachet in the corner of the bookshelf. That was a gift I gave to Lu Ruyan when she first started her business. I still remember clearly how she clutched it tightly back then, smiling as she hugged me in her arms. But now, that sachet has long lost its original fragrance, just like the feelings between us, carelessly thrown in a corner, covered in dust. After a long while, I shook my head, feeling not a ripple of emotion in my heart. With Sue Wan's help, I copied all the data files from my computer onto my USB drive. These were all the client materials I had accumulated over the years. With these, even without the company or that insurance payout, I could still gather enough funds for my treatment before my condition worsened. Just as I was about to put away the USB drive and leave, Lu Ruyan suddenly walked in through the door. Upon seeing me and Sue Wan, her face instantly turned pale with shock. Sue Wan, Lu Ruyan froze for a moment. Then, as if realizing something, pointed at my nose and scolded. Moyu, so this is what you were really after. So you're divorcing me to be with her. Is that it? Moyu, you've changed. You've become disgusting to me. Yet I let Lu Ruyan hit and scold me, never bothering to argue with her from start to finish. Seeing my silence, Lu Ruyan seemed to take it as an admission and grew even more aggressive, her gaze eventually settling on the USB drive in my hand. She froze for a moment. Then, like a rabbit with reddened eyes, she snatched the USB drive from my hand and threw it to the ground. Moyu, what do you mean by this? I'd heard before that Sue Wan was your junior at school, but I still hired her. And you? So you're planning to leave me with the company's secrets, all for this woman. I followed you for 5 whole years. 5 years of my youth. How could you do this to me? Watching Lu Ruyan's furious and flustered expression, I simply replied coldly, your 5 years were youth, but mine weren't. Ask yourself honestly, haven't I given enough for you these 5 years? Hearing my words, Lu Ruyan froze on the spot, her lips parting slightly but unable to find where to begin. Seeing that Lu Ruyan knew she was in the wrong, I simply decided to leave this place where I had poured 5 years of my heart and soul. But just as I was about to go, Lu Ruyan grabbed my arm and said through gritted teeth, Moyu, you stop right there. What on earth has gotten into you today? If it's money you want, I can write you an OU. With that, Lu Ruyan seemed to think she had caught my weakness, crossing her arms and looking at me rather smugly. But I just sneered, cleared my throat, and said calmly, Moyu, that money was probably long gone, devoured by Lu Ming. Not reporting you to the police is already the greatest mercy I can offer. Hearing my words, Lu Ruyan's expression instantly changed. She involuntarily took half a step back, biting her lower lip tightly, and defended herself. You stopped talking nonsense to me. First you went crazy on stage today. Then you tried to scam money from someone. What exactly are you trying to do? Looking into Lu Ruyan's eyes, I saw only resentment and confusion. So I decided to leave directly. But just as I was about to open the door, a surge of nausea rose in my throat. My legs gave way, and I collapsed to my knees, vomiting large amounts of blood. A thick, metallic scent of blood instantly filled the entire room. Seeing me lying in a pool of blood, Lu Ruyan froze in place. What What on earth is happening? But at this moment, I no longer had the strength to speak, feeling only darkness before my eyes as if all the blood and energy in my body were about to be vomited out. In the critical moment, Suwon rushed to my side in a hurry, supporting me, thus preventing me from falling straight to the ground. Watching Lu Ruyan's look of disbelief, Suwon could no longer hold back and directly sent that photo to her. Miss Lu, can you see it yet? Mo Yu has liver cancer. Liver cancer. It wasn't until the blood I vomited stained her clothes that Lu Ruyan seemed to snap back to reality. The next moment, Lu Ruyan trembled all over and, disregarding the blood on the ground, threw herself in front of me. Moyu, I'm sorry, but as I watched Lu Ruyan's tearful appearance, I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. Lu Ruyan, how come I never knew before that your acting skills were this good? Seeing me about to die, you should be overjoyed, shouldn't you? Hearing this, Lu Ruyan's expression instantly changed, and she bit her lip tightly. No, that's not the case. Moyu, I really don't know. Before Lu Ruyan could finish speaking, I abruptly shook off her hand and said coldly, You don't know. Didn't I tell you that was my life-saving money? Didn't the insurance company tell you I have liver cancer? But what about you? From start to finish, have you ever believed even a single word I said? Hearing my scolding, Lu Ruyan's face grew even paler, and her tears fell uncontrollably. Husband, I really didn't know you had liver cancer. Today it was all my fault. I shouldn't have hit you at the wedding. I just looked at her coldly, barely managing to stand up while leaning against the wall, and said in a chilly voice, Lu Ruyan, oh no, it's President Lu. How could you be wrong? The one who's wrong is me. It's me, Moyu, who was blind and misjudged someone. From now on, there will be no more ties between you and me. Seeing my determination to leave, Lu Ruyan staggered back a step, her legs giving way as she collapsed to the ground, clutching my leg tightly. Moyu, please forgive me, won't you? Believe me, nothing really happened between me and Lu Ming. I'll go ask Moyu for the money right now. Let's go to the hospital for treatment right now. Okay? Yet, as I looked at Lu Ruyan's tear-streaked face, I felt not the slightest ripple of emotion in my heart. Whether she had actually cheated or not, there was no possibility left between us, even if Lu Ming had never appeared. In the future, there will also be Qi Ming, Su Ming. The real problem lies in the relationship between me and Lu Ruyan. This 5-year-long relationship, from beginning to end, was only me struggling to keep it going. But now, I'm already exhausted. I took a deep breath, sized up Lu Ruyan, and sneered. Wouldn't it be better if I died? That way, I wouldn't be a bother to you anymore. My tone was resolute, and the look I gave Lu Ruyan was as if she were a stranger. No, it can't be. Moyu, are you deliberately trying to provoke me? You clearly said before that you would love me for a lifetime, protect me for a lifetime. But as I looked at Lu Ruyan's trembling body, there wasn't a trace of pity in my eyes. I took care of her for 5 whole years. For her. For the company. I devoted my time, my energy, my money, even my life. But when I needed her help, she pushed me away without hesitation, even when I just wanted to reclaim what was rightfully mine. Lu Ruyan never believed me, and Lu Ruyan seemed to sense my icy gaze, shaking her head frantically as she cried out, Moyu, listen to me. I didn't mean to. Tu was just too desperate at the time. I can give you anything you want, even the entire company if you desire it. Please don't leave me. Okay? I looked at Lu Ruyan's increasingly pale face and could only sigh softly. After a long pause, I took a deep breath and resolutely said, Lu Ruyan, farewell forever. Seeing my determination to leave, Lu Ruyan trembled, her entire body collapsing to the ground in utter despair. But just as I was about to leave, several uniformed police officers walked over and directly blocked the path between me and Lu Ruyan. Sorry, you can't leave yet. Facing the police officers blocking the way, Lu Ruyan frowned tightly and asked, "What do you mean by this?" "He has liver cancer and needs treatment now." Upon hearing this, the police verified my situation and said helplessly, "We received a report that you're involved in a series of fraud cases. We hope you can cooperate with the investigation as soon as possible." Hearing the police officer's words, Lu Ruyan was completely confused and said impatiently, "What fraud case? Are you guys some kind of scammers?" Faced with Lu Ruyan's skepticism, the police officers merely exchanged glances before pulling out a photograph. "Miss Lu, have you seen him?" But Lu Ruyan just glanced and froze in place. "Lu Ming, you're looking for him." Before Lu Ruyan could finish speaking, she seemed to realize something, her face turning deathly pale as she exclaimed in shock, You're saying that Lu Ming is a fraud?" Watching her tense expression, I couldn't help but shake my head with a bitter smile. At this moment, she finally realized the truth of it all. How is this possible? Then, the 800,000 I transferred to him. Could it be? The police officer looked at Lu Ruyan's devastated expression and could only sigh softly, shaking his head as he said, "We can only do our best to help you recover your losses. He's a repeat offender with no fixed whereabouts. Do you have any information about him?" Just as I thought Lu Ruyan would cooperate with the investigation, she remained silent for a long time before shaking her head. "I don't know. I haven't been in contact with him recently." Hearing this, the police exchanged glances and found it hard to press further. After asking a few more questions, they quickly left the scene. After the police left, Lu Ruyan didn't even say a word before hastily driving away. Yet, I could see the murderous intent burning in Lu Ruyan's eyes. However, none of this had anything to do with me anymore. I shook my head and, with Suwon's support, walked straight out of there. As soon as I got back into the car, I started coughing violently, instantly staining the seat red. "Moyu, what's wrong with you? I'll take you to the hospital right now." I looked at Suwon in the driver's seat, forced a faint smile, and nodded. "Thank you for today. If someone saw me like this, it would be too embarrassing." Hearing my words, Suwon pursed her lips tightly and wiped away the tear stains at the corners of her eyes. I leaned against the car window, but my eyelids grew increasingly heavy. The next moment, everything went black before my eyes, and I fainted straight away. When I woke up again, I'd already been transferred to the intensive care unit of the hospital. I struggled to get up, but my whole body felt numb. Looking down, I realized I was covered with tubes of all sizes. "Senior Mo, you're awake." On the bench nearby, Suwon hurried over to my side, helping me slowly get up. Only then did I realize that my overly emotional state had worsened my condition, causing me to pass out. During the time I was unconscious, Suwon had already paid for my medication and arranged a chemotherapy session for me. Holding a handful of my hair, I couldn't help but smile bitterly and shake my head, turning my gaze to Suwon beside me. "Suwon, we're just classmates. You don't need to go this far for me." But Suwon shook her head and tightly held my hand. "Senior Mo, you've always known how I feel, haven't you?" Hearing that Senior Mo brought my thoughts rushing back to 7 years ago. At that time, I hadn't yet met Lu Ruyan. Suwon was my childhood sweetheart, the little sister next door I grew up with. But the year we advanced to higher education, her family suffered an unexpected tragedy. Her parents divorced, and the family fell into decline because she often couldn't gather enough tuition on time. At that time, she was even bullied by classmates at school. Some arrogant girls in the class Seeing she no longer had her former family often took their frustrations out on her. Back then, I hadn't yet been worn down by life. Seeing them start a fight outside the school, I rushed forward without hesitation and got into a scuffle with them. That very night, I was called in by the school and given a major disciplinary record. Because of this, my future prospects were damaged. Despite having excellent grades, I still struggled to land jobs at those big companies. But after that, no one dared to bully Sue Wan again. After graduation, I moved to a different city for work and life, where I met Lu Ruyan. Naturally, my contact with Sue Wan gradually diminished. It wasn't until later that she came to apply for a job at the company I founded. However, by then, my heart belonged only to Lu Ruyan, and I always kept my distance from Sue Wan. Just as I was reminiscing, Sue Wan seemed to sense my gaze and turned her head to give me a gentle smile. It seems Senior Remote still remembers everything. I let out a light chuckle and nodded, carefully studying Sue Wan's eyes, trying to discern something. But Sue Wan just gazed at me with a silly smile. After a long pause, I gave a helpless smile and decided to get straight to the point. Sue Wan, I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. Without the insurance money, not only can I not afford treatment, but I'll probably also default on my debts and end up drowning in loans. You're a good girl, and I can't hold you back. Hearing me bluntly voice the feelings in her heart, Sue Wan was taken aback at first, then let out a soft laugh and tightened her grip on my hand. Senior Mo, just being able to accompany you makes me happy. If it weren't for you back then, I might have dropped out long ago. Looking at her pitiful appearance, I ultimately let out a soft sigh and gently patted her head, my heart softening. I'll say the harsh words first. You're so good to me, but I don't have any inheritance to leave you. You know, but this time, Sue Wan didn't pick up the conversation. Instead, she fell into an unexpected silence. After a long while, Sue Wan finally let go of my hand, sighed softly, and with a hint of tears in her voice. Senior Mo, if I had been just a little earlier. Before Sue Wan could finish her sentence, I smiled and reached out to stop her. I stretched my arms as far as I could, watching the snowflakes outside the window slowly drift down from the sky. Don't worry, I'm only at the mid-stage of cancer. If the condition remains stable, there might still be hope. Of course, if luck isn't on my side, then I'll have to trouble you to send my ashes back to my hometown. Hearing my words, Sue Wan could no longer hold back her tears and ran out of the ward crying. Soon, it was deep into the night. The side effects of chemotherapy began to show, even though I had already received several painkiller injections. The pain from my liver still tormented me, making it impossible to sleep. I'm afraid the body hasn't collapsed yet, but the spirit is already on the verge of breaking down. For liver cancer, apart from chemotherapy, the only option is to wait for a liver transplant. But with so many people suffering from cancer, many may never get their turn before they die. Just as I was lost in these thoughts, a figure suddenly appeared at the ward door. When I clearly saw that figure, I froze in place. Only then did I realize Lu Ruyan was already drenched in blood, her entire body exuding a strong, pungent smell of blood. In her hands, she was holding a steaming, freshly extracted liver. Seeing that I was still awake, Lu Ruyan immediately rushed in and threw that bloody liver right in front of me. Moyu, 2VE found a liver for you. With this, you can survive. We haven't finished our wedding ceremony yet. Once you're cured, let's hold a proper wedding right away. Okay? From now on, I'll do the housework. I'll take care of you, raise our children, and support you. All right. Before Lu Ruyan could finish speaking, a large group of fully armed police officers rushed into the hospital room, pinning her firmly to the ground. Let me go. Let me go now. That liver was meant for Amelia. Lu Ming got what he deserved. Husband, husband, I was wrong. Husband, wait for May will save you. I swear. Until the police took her away. Lu Ruyan was still screaming hysterically, intending to have me undergo a liver transplant from that corpse. Only then did I realize that Lu Ruyan had completely lost her mind. In an attempt to salvage our relationship, she even went so far as to kill Lu Ming and vengefully removed his liver, planning to transplant it into me to treat my liver cancer. Even I hadn't expected this. The relationship between me and Lu Ruyan ultimately ended in such an absurd manner. It's just a pity that belated affection is worth less than grass. Back then, I gave everything for Lu Ruyan, only to receive endless hurt in return. From now on, I only wish to protect those who truly love me. By the time I came to my senses, the sky was already beginning to light up. As the winter sun rose, I looked at the long-missed sunlight outside the window and couldn't help but stretch. But the next moment, a hand suddenly landed on my shoulder. Senior Mo, the weather is so nice. Would you like to take a walk together? I turned to look and saw Su Wan wearing that ill-fitting school uniform from back then, smiling as she reached out her hand to me. As I looked at Su Wan, I was momentarily stunned, then smiled faintly and nodded, saying, "Then don't fall behind." Okay? 2 years later, I, who rarely post on social media, shared a group photo after a long time. In the photo, I had shed the gloomy hospital gown and changed into a sharp suit. Meanwhile, Su Wan was wearing a wedding dress, held in my arms, smiling especially sweetly.